Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. Right, straight from auction, 2010 Vauxhall Opel Meriva. I'm not sure which engine is on this. I can tell you it is petrol. Yeah, that's it. So, what's the issue with this thing? So, let me take you through. Let me start this and I will show you. I think I need to press the clutch on this one. Code 59 you can see in there. And one thing I can tell you, let me see, yeah. So yesterday when this thing was dropped, the engine light was not on. So it only came on this morning when I was moving it here on the driveway. But as you can see, the reason, or the first thing I was asked to look at was the steering. So there is no steering at all. I believe this is electric steering, which makes sense why you have no steering. I think it's electric, and there is no power steering or no assisted steering whatsoever. It was a nightmare to move this here on the driveway. But the engine light, that's a new one. I was not asked to look at the engine light, but again, the engine light was not on yesterday, if I recall correctly. Anyway, code 59, not really sure what that means, but nevertheless, I think the first thing we're going to do is grab the maxi sys, plug it in, give it a scan, and see where we go. And that's going to do a scan on this. So let's going to go control unit. I'm not going to do another scan. Engine control module. I don't know which engine is, so let's just do search engine. Okay, 5 codes. Man, that's a lot of codes. That's a lot of codes. Don't even know where to start, to be fair with you. Unless we selected the wrong engine. Because I didn't really select an engine, didn't I? The thing just went and selected. Okay, let me try to find out which engine is on this. And found it is the A14XER. Let's see if we still have the same turbo codes. And we do indeed. Wow, that's a lot of codes. That's a lot of codes. Okay, let's just go back. Forget about this for now. It's gonna go to electronic power steering. Oh, that's interesting. Electronic. Okay, let's actually do an auto scan. Okay, so it's the A14XER. Okay, let it do it and let's see what we have. Okay, auto scan is finished. So we have no faults on our airbag, instrument, AC and radio. Everything else does have a code. So let's gonna quickly go to my body control module. Forget about the calibration. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it's taken us to somewhere. So a lot of lost communications, and we have one present here. Lost communication with power steering control module, which makes sense why we couldn't scan it when we tried just a minute ago. So U0131, and I can pretty much assure you that all these other modules are going to have a code for no communications with the power steering. Not present, so control module bus off malfunction, lost communication with the electronic brake control module. What the hell happened on this car? Okay, those two are not present. Parking brake control module. Few faults there. Not present, not present. Not present, not present. Okay. Will the fault that will default. Will is that the issue that is causing the fault for no communications with the steering module? Will be causing all those issues, all the issues on the engine itself as well. Will we have a power missing somewhere? And the last one is the engine. We know what the engine says. So I think that makes some sense. That we cannot communicate with the, can come out of this now, that we cannot communicate with that module. So that's our to go first. Let's start with the basics, as I always recommend. Start with fuses and all that good stuff, basic stuff, and then we'll move into the more complicated stuff, I would say, if we don't find anything wrong with fuses and all that good stuff. I'm going to do a quick inspection on these as well. Obviously, a visual inspection is always important. Make sure you don't see anything dodgy, connectors, you know, all the lot. So let's going to do some investigation, and I'll get back to you when I find anything, or when I want to take you through something, some checks or wiring, whatever that's going to be. So stay tuned, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, and started with the fuses inside the cabinet, behind the glove box. All good. Came here, check all these fuses here, all good. I haven't looked really for a fuses assignment. I was just checking literally every single fuse, and then decided to come up here, and as soon as I got here I've seen this. Okay, looks like someone has been here, and obviously when I would show you, I'll actually check with the multimeter. It will be easier to show you with the test light. So obviously we do have voltage here. We have, this fuse is good, so the voltage comes here. Fuse is good, that fuse is good, that fuse is good, that fuse is gone. Now my only thing is, why is that fuse blown? And what I want to do, because this is a 80 amp, it's an 80 amp fuse, so I do have another one here that's good, I can utilize. If you look, that one is good, so I can move this to here. But what I don't want to do is just do it and blow that one, and then I'll have to buy this whole thing to replace, because these fuses are not replaceable. Is this one plate that comes with all the fuses. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this and use a fuse, external fuse, to try to diagnose this without start blowing fuses, just for the sake of it. So that's what we're going to do. But we're going to do a quick test and see what happens. Okay, a little bit of light here so we can have a better look at what we see. So I followed the cables. So this is going to be the ground for the pump. That's going to be the voltage that goes inside this thingy, and then there is another, what's that, 2 wires, I think. It's probably the CAN bus or whatever. And this is obviously the power. We just took it from there. Now, to blow a 80 amp fuse, that's quite a lot. Now I follow the cables all the way to the pump, and there's no plug, no nothing. These cables, they go straight inside. There's 2 holes. There's a kind of a sealed sort of entrance, and these cables, they go all inside. There's no plug, no nothing. So it looks like it might be inside the pump, whatever caused this to blow. But before we do anything, I just thought to measure the thingy. So between ground and my volt and my wire that goes in there, I have 0.8 mega ohms. Not sure if that's what I should be getting for the inside the pump, but definitely is not shorted, which means it should not blow my next fuse. Again, I don't want to utilize the fuse at the top, so I'm going to utilize this 80 amp fuse, and I'm going to use some jumper cables to actually power this up, because I do not have anything else here that's good enough to do this. I have some little alligator cables, but they just gonna work as a fuse rather than that, so in case of something happens. But yeah, so let me connect this and then I'll get back to you when we are ready to test. Okay, don't laugh, it is working. So power comes out of this black cable, goes all the way to the fuse. You can see the cables are now touching. There's a gap. 80 amp fuse, as you can see in there, 80 amps. Come out on the red, and the red comes up and feeds my cable that goes into the power steering. And as you can see, we do have voltage. So I'm not going to even stop recording. Just going to go to the car and see what happens. Right, that's going to put ignition on. Okay. Let me see if I have now communications. No, I don't. That's going to check that fuse. I was to stop recording, but there is no point. Let's just kind of quickly see what happened if the fuse blow. No, it's actually good. How come I still have no communications then? Oh. Shall I start this thing? Shouldn't make a difference, to be honest. Okay, so we still have no communications with that power steering. Let's try once again. No, we don't. So I think the next step is gonna be, what? Check perhaps communication lines. Actually, let me check diagrams, see if there's any other power supplies into the module, or if those two cables actually powers everything up. Let's go and have a look. Okay, diagrams are really simple, to be fair with you. So as you can see in there, we do have the 12 volts that goes into the 80 amp fuse, which we just seen in there is blown. That's straight connection to the steering pump and module. So the module right there at the back, I don't know if you can see where that cover is. So that's one of those electro-hydraulic pumps. So it has the oil in there, and then underneath there is the module, the pump is all in one unit. And now I said there's no way to take that. It might be there is, looks like there is 2 screws and a plate around the cables. It might be that we'll be able to take that plate and pull it out. Never did it, but it might be that it's possible. But carry on. So you have a ground, which we already checked in there. And then there is a plug. Well, down there there's no plug, but there is a plug somewhere, which I think I found it already, with 3 wires. Pin 2 and 3 are my CAN, and my pin 1, a black wire, are my wake-up line. Wake-up line is usually at 12 volts. So wake-up line on my black wire, pin number 1, pin number 2, a brown and white wire, and pin 3, a blue and white, and that's my CAN. Now I think I found that plug. There we go, my diagrams. Come here. Stay there for now. Jesus. Right, I think I found that plug right in there. Can you see it? And for no surprise, looks like someone has been here because it's taped. But it looks like it's that plug. At least he has the right colors. And I'm there. So we're gonna try to, I'm not sure what I'm gonna try to do here, because it's really at the back, difficult to access. We're gonna have to do something, and I'm running out of daylight as well. So I think my next step is gonna be probably try to back probe that, see if I have the wake up line in there, see if I have my wake up line, and see if I have my CAN bus in there. If we do have all of that in there, then right, let me see how I'm gonna get down there. Okay, so I actually managed to pull the plug from that side I unplugged it, so this is one. This is the one that goes down to the pump. Oh, I hate this. I need to do this with daylight. So this is the one that goes into the pump. Okay, and definitely someone has been here doing whatever they've been doing. And then the other one, I pulled it from that way into that side, and it's back there. Then if you can see in there, there is right here. It's right here. So now I can easily back probe this and see what we have. Okay, a few days later we are back to this, to the Meriva. So I actually deleted the last video on this because yes, I'm still using the light because I want to show you something at the back of the engine, and even though it's a quite nice day today, it was really dark at the back of the engine and I'm still using the light, but the last clip was really dark and I was not really happy with the result of the footage. So I'm recording this again, but the setup is the same, even though I know the results that we're going to get, but the setup is exactly the same. So we have the black cable all the way to the fuse, red cable all the way feeding that. So we are back probing the CAN lines at the moment, as you can see in there. So we are leaving this last cable here, the black one on the right, not connected. So we are connecting to the blue and white and brown and white, which is our CAN high and low, which comes through these two wires here, taking the ground directly from the battery. So we're going to turn the ignition on and see what happens. There we go. And we do have, that's a little bit like that, like so. There we go. And we do have, don't really like to see that ramp, a little bit weird, but they match perfectly. So at the moment I'm not really concerned about this. Okay, I'll put a little bit out of zoom to see a little bit more of it. There we go. Okay, so not to worry, we have something happening there. There's some communication lines, they don't look too bad. So we're going to do, so we have communication. So the next step we're going to do is try to figure out if these communications are coming from the body control module, which I believe is the sort of the gateway on this car. So all the modules connect to there, and then the communication is handled by the body control module. So I want to figure out if that is coming from the body control module, or if it's at the moment, or if it's going both ways, if that makes sense. But before we do that, I want to check if my actually wake up line is there. So to do that, just let me place the phone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take one of the probes, which in this case is going to be the black cable, which is connected to my B channel. So my B channel is my yellow one. I'm going to disconnect this probe. Okay, so we lose that line, and I'm going to put these onto the wake up line, and we have something. So it disappeared. So let me see. I could go, I can't even remember how the hell you do this. B other, I think. No, it's not that. No, it's not that either. Let me just put this into volts to, there we go. So if I do this, so I have my scale now at 10 volts, and if I put that in there, I put the B, I'm not probably showing you this right. So I've set the scale. So let me turn actually A off so we can look at one line only. Okay, so as you can see, so if I take these off, I'm gonna pull the probe out. There we go. So that's my 0 volts line, and each segment is 10 volts. Okay, so when I push this back in, there we go. So 10, just a little bit above, I would say it's probably about 12 volts. There's a way to put this to measure, which I can't remember now how that's done. Meter maybe? No, that's for the, there's a way. display. Now, what is that thing? Measure on. There we go. 12 volts. So if I take that off, there we go, 0 volts, as you can see in there. Now I'm gonna push it up, 12 volts. So we have 12 volts on my wake up line. Now just remember, the wake up line is just a signal. It's not like if you're gonna be able to test it with a test light. Maybe you can if you are using a LED light with a really low power consumption. If I try to put that in there, all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down the wake up line, and all the other modules will get will lose the wake up line, and they will go offline, and that will throw codes everywhere on the dash. I don't need to show you that, just take my word for it. If you have one of these test lights and you want to have a go at it to see what happens, just do it, but I don't need to do it. This is common knowledge that the wake up line is just a 12 volt signal with no really with no capabilities to actually feed anything like this. So anyway, moving forward, so what we're going to do next is, let me show you what we're going to do next. Hold on. Okay, so I put everything the way it was before. So we are back probing the two CAN lines again, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unplug these. So I'm going to just pull the plug. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so there we go. So all I've done, as you can see, I unplugged it, but I'm still back probing the cable that goes to the pump, to the module, and as you can see, we lost CAN communications. But that makes sense because remember, we unplugged the wake up line as well. So all we did is at the same time we unplugged this, we also told the module to go to sleep. So what we need to do now, in order to see if my pump is actually communicating, we're going to jump the wake up line from the plug to here, and that should wake up our pump, even though it's not connected in there. That should wake up our pump, and if our pump is actually trying to communicate, we should start to see CAN line in there, or we should start to see communications in that plug. Okay, because CAN line is a two-way communication. So if we get no communications after we jump this wake up line, that means the communications we were seeing earlier was actually from the control module try to reach the power steering module. Okay, so let's just jump that, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, so all set up. So as you can see, I have that wire coming to here, comes to here, and comes to this one. We're just going to confirm that we have the 12 volts wake up signal here, so all the connections are good. Just going to put this to measure again. Scope, measure, middle. That's fine. So if I touch these onto the black, was the black probe, so let me see what happens. It's not the same measurement as we had earlier. Hold on. No battery. Hold on. Okay, sorry for the technical issue. So let me just do this. So all back on. So I'm measuring again the middle. It's going to be on B channel. So as you're going to see when I touch in there. There we go, 12 volts. Okay, so now we are in position to just try to wake up that. So obviously everything is still connected. We're just going to bring that down to 1 volt. So in case if we have CAN line, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. Let's going to turn the measure off. There we go. Now we're going to wake up the module by just jump these into here, and as you can see, can't even get this. Ah, damn it! Can I? Oh yes, I can. Ah, there you go. Okay, and as you can see, we are jumping the wake up line and we still have no communications. So let's just confirm we still have voltage here. Yes, we do. Let me just quickly check one thing. So all I wanted to check was to see how much current this was actually pulling. So DC 0 amps. Let me reset it again. There we go. Zeroed. Now if I put in there, we do have 0.031. So there is something happening there, and I do know it is because look what happens if I unplug it from the plus, and now when I do it again, it jumps. Look at that, you've seen the jump. Do it again. You see? And actually there is a little bit of a sometimes it does sparks a little bit when you connect it, so there is definitely something happening there, as you can see. But even when we power it up, we still have a dead module. So at this point I'm quite confident to say that we do have indeed a bad module. And wow, how am I going to get to that? Man, that's really not easy to get to. Will that have to be done from the underside? Right, let me think. Okay, and just one last test. So at the moment is reading 0. The wake up line is not connected, and all I wanted to see is that when I connect the wake up line, it goes back to 0.035. When I take it off, it goes down to 0. So there is obviously something happening inside that unit, but the unit is not obviously working because we still have nothing there. So anyway, enough is enough. We established quite easily that the pump is bad or the unit is bad, and again, let's gonna figure out a way of taking it out. Okay, so start to take things out. Try to get a little bit of room around there. I hope I can get the pump from the top. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. It looks like I might not going to be able to, but for the time being I'm just trying to figure out a way. As you've seen, this was taped, maybe. I don't know if I mentioned that back. I just tested it. I don't know what happened here. Don't know if the pump has been replaced or whatever happened. That pump, I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that I've tested it from the plug all the way back. You can't even see it because I just slightly, you can't even see where I pierced. Oh, maybe you can see in there. See in there? So that's where I pierced. All the 3 wires, there's continuity, although this wire is a little bit shaft in there, but it's good. Someone has been here before because obviously this has been all cut. There is the pump down there is held by a cable tie. Don't know if you can see in there. So there's a cable tie holding that in there somehow. So I have a feeling that maybe either this has been replaced or someone has been tried to get to it. Not 100% sure. I just know it is a little bit of a pit to get down there. We're gonna try to do our best. I don't know if I can't move this ABS pump, if I can't jiggle it around. I don't want to take it out, but obviously, because I don't want to have to bleed the brakes. But if I can't move this a little bit out of the way, then I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to take these out. But we'll have to figure out a way. Okay, oil has been sucked out, so that's empty now. And another thing that I've seen while I was doing these now, I don't know if the phone's going to be able to capture, probably not. Or maybe, I don't know if you can see there. No, you can't. Just about. Someone has been piercing the wires in there as well. But I'm not too concerned that my problem is going to be from here to the pump. Because remember, we do have voltage. We have current going to the pump according to our clamp meter. and when I connect and disconnect the wake-up line, we do see a difference. So I believe the wake-up line is all good up to the pump, and then the two can lines failing at the same time, the wires, a little bit overfetching, I think. So I do believe it's really the pump. It looks like this pump is being replaced. I might be wrong, or maybe someone has been trying to take it out. I'm not 100% sure what happened here, or someone just got a faulty pump. Just put another pump and got a faulty pump. Not 100% sure. Anyway, let's gonna carry on. I'm quite confident with our diagnostics, so let's gonna carry on. Okay, removed. You need indeed to lose this and give it a wiggle. The steering pump comes between these pipes here and these ones here on the top, so it comes in this gap here. You need to kind of wiggle it a little bit, but it comes out. Now let me show you what we're doing. It might not going to take us anywhere, to be fair, but at least we'll see how it works and how it is inside. So I took this the reservoir cap sort of out of it. So the way I did it, I put this on a vise right there, and then with a screwdriver like so, I just put it here on the side, gave it a few taps, one side, the other side, and it just came off. Now we're going to take these bolts off, because I think that's what holds that together with this, with that. Not sure. That's going to take it off. Okay, we go a little bit further. So on the top, 2 bolts only. You take these ones. You leave the Allen key ones, and this is actually the mechanical pump, which is quite easy to remove. 2 bolts that will come out. You'll have this coupling in there, and be careful. I've took these bolts off from here, but you will see just in a second that it wouldn't make a difference. That will not come off. I took that bolt because I was not 100% sure. That's just a bolt just stops in there, really. It doesn't hold anything, so you don't need to take it off. But again, I was not 100% sure. On the other side, so to take the bottom, you need to cut the silicone around here, okay, from the underside, and then you just pry it out. That's how I've done it. And on the other side, you have the unit. And as you can see, the cables, there's no plug, no nothing. The cables just comes in, and that's it. We're gonna try to take this motor off, because otherwise we can't access anything on the underside. Maybe we're not gonna get anywhere with this still, but we'll just give it a go anyway, and we'll learn a little bit more about these pumps. Okay, to remove the outer side of the motor, or where the magnets are, you have a circlips right there at the top, which obviously is going to be on the other side. Then you just pull the cap out. Then you take all these screws. There's one here holding 2 little metal plates, making pressure on these diodes here, or transistors on there. And then you have the ones that actually hold the plug. As you can see, this comes out, but you need to take the bolts from the inside. So you have 2 bolts here, and then you have the plug in there for the wake-up line and CAN network. And then there's 2 bolts here holding, sorry, there's 1 bolt there, yeah, one here, holding the actual electronic side. And now, oh, at the top you have another circlips here, which is a little bit of a beta to remove, at least without making a tiny bit of damage, but it's not too bad. And now we should be able to just drag all these out, and then we can have a better look at the electronics. I think, although the electronics are all covered up, we might not going to be able to see anything, but again, it's just for learning purpose, I guess. There it is, all out. Here we have the electronic side. Again, this side you don't have a lot other than the EEPROM, but on this side is where you have the processor, etc. Underneath all this circuitry at the top. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to do anything with this, to be fair with you. But at least we got to this point. If you want to open one of these, you now know how to do it. Okay, so remove the PCB. You just need to desolder everything that belongs to that is connected to the board, including these all sensors. It looks like Hall sensors to me. I think it's 2 of them. That one just actually dropped the pins down, come up. Once you take these off, you have the PCB. First correction, the EEPROM is not the one on the other side. Is actually this one here. Is a Motorola 24LC04. and the processor is a Infineon, is a SAC-C16 4CL. Now, I believe at this point, after a few measurements, that my problem is going to be somewhere here, and I explain you why. I think it's the processor that is faulty, and the reason for that is because I've been here checking a few things. I do have voltage supply on every single pin that is supposed to have voltage supply, so I got hold of, I will show you, hold on. So I got hold of the data sheet for this particular chip, okay, and I've checked if I have power supply on all the pins, which I confirm I do have. Then I confirm that my oscillator is good. Is these two things here I'm gonna show you. We do have, okay, I would have to go, hold on a second, okay, increase the scale a little bit, and you can see now that we do have a good signal in there. Okay, so my oscillator is good, power supply is good. I've checked here on the output pins, which is pin 23 and 24, which is right there, is the pins that can be assigned for CAN bus. I've checked both of them, although only one looks like it's connected. There's nothing there, which is this pin here. It's going to be that one in there, so you can't really see, guys, but it's this one here where this little hole is, and as you can see we have absolutely nothing. Okay, and then you have 4 pins or so on this side that can be assigned to CAN. It looks like is one here assigned, but I've checked every single one of them, and again they have absolutely nothing. Everything is dead. There's no communications, there is nothing coming out of it. So at this point I'm gonna blame perhaps maybe the processor. The processor's failed, something along those lines. That's it. There's nothing else we can do for now. We dug this as deep as we could, but sometimes it's what it is. So we're gonna get, well, the owner is gonna get a new unit, and then I guess I will get back to you when, or we'll get back into this when we have that unit to install on the car. Okay, one last time on this. I'm officially now giving up on this. I'm not gonna dig more into this. I already texted the guy to tell him he needs a new unit. He hasn't seen the text yet, but that doesn't really matter. So what I've done next was, just in case if the CAN transceiver, which is that chip in there, which goes right here, I just thought maybe if that's somehow faulty and is shorting this side of the communications but not that side, maybe, who knows. So what I've done is I took it out. I checked power supply before it was there, so it's not like this is shorted and it's shorting the power supply or anything like that. So we have 12 volts on this pin, we have ground, and then 5 volts on that pin. Everything is there. I took it off. I still have nothing coming out of the processor, so I've checked every single pin on this side for the possible CAN outputs or input, and I've done the same on this side for the possible pins that can be assigned to CAN lines, and there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing. That's just what it is. That it looks like this chip is completely dead, and I'm not going to waste more time on this. It's, at this point, starts to become a little bit financially not really worth it, because I'm just wasting my time now. I don't have any spare, so it's not like if I can go on the shelf and just put something there and try it. It's not the case. I would have to most likely buy this stuff. Guys, forget about it, then program it, or man, just forget about that. Just forget about that. He's gonna have to get one, and I think that's when I'm gonna see you next time. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and we are back onto this thing. Literally 8 weeks later. So last clip you've seen was recorded last Monday. Monday again, and this is the downside with me not getting any used parts anymore. You need to rely on the owner to bring me the parts, and although I told him on Monday that he needed these, I know for a fact he never bought these until Wednesday. By the time he brought me this was Friday late afternoon. I was working days Saturday and Sunday, and I couldn't do nothing until today. Anyway, that is not really important for the video. So it got me a second-hand unit. Visually looks like the same. Okay, I believe he actually bought the example. I've sent him on a link, so he asked me which pump he needed. I told him you need it from a Meriva B. Don't buy a pump from a different car, even if it's the same, because I'm not 100% sure if the communication message between the pump and the body control module would be exactly the same. So it could be that would be something different on the message, and you wouldn't be compatible with the car. So I said to him, make sure it just comes from a Meriva B. I sent them an example on a link on eBay, and I think that was the pump he actually bought. Anyway, moving forward, before I put it back on, ideally I would test this at least for communications and make sure there is no faults onto it. So I think that's what we are going. So I think that's what we are going to try to do. Is make sure we can give it a test before we do anything with it. Because last thing you want is to go through all the work to put it back just to find out it is faulty. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I don't know yet how we're gonna do it, but I guess I'll get back to you when I figure out how we're gonna do it, and we can go through the whole thing. Okay, so let me take you through very quickly through the setup before I show you anything. So what we do have here is that the pump is being connected temporarily. So all of this is done temporarily. So the ABS pump is connected, the engine ECU is connected right there underneath the battery. You can't really see it. It's all stuffed in there. I put a cloth in there in case if the pump needs to do some sort of testing and spin the actual motor. I don't think it does, but we'll put in there just in case. I was trying to, that is because I was trying to clean that, but then I thought, hold on a second, if something's wrong with it, I'm gonna take the scrapyard marks and then it's gonna be bad to send it back. Although I already did a little bit by mistake, but well. Anyway, so the first thing I had to do, guys, was actually I had to repair the stud on the chassis. Someone cross-thread the nut, so clearly the old pump was already not genuine, or has been replaced in the past, or has been out for some reason. Anyway, someone cross-thread that stud, had to redo the thread, etc. Anyway, it's now connected, so the ground is connected. The ground from this pump is connected into the chassis onto the correct point. Power for this is, however, is not on the correct point, as we know. So the first fuse was blown, so I'm having to use the second. These connectors are actually keyed, so they don't fit on any gap. They have these little tabs here on the sides, so they only fit on one of these gaps. This one here was all broken up already, so obviously someone smashed it up. I can't fit it onto the 100, I won't do anyway, but it doesn't fit because, as you can see, that one in there at the top, it wouldn't fit here because it won't match on this side, and the same with that one in there, it wouldn't match in there. On this side I had to cut a little bit of plastic, just like this one here in the middle. So it was one on this side, I had to cut it all the way down so this would fit. And what we're going to do, just for future, in case if someone ever comes to work on this again, we're going to make sure we're going to mark here somewhere EPS, so someone will know that's going to see a cable where it shouldn't be, and it makes sense so you can quickly see where it goes. But this will be happy. The only way to fix this really would be by replacing this wall fuse assembly at the top. I'll speak with the owner, but I doubt he's going to want to do that, especially if he's protected by a fuse and everything is working just fine. Then the next thing is these connections here. So what we're doing is we're going to test just the pump for communications. So what we've done that with the old unit. So we have the wake-up line connected there, comes all the way to this cable here. Okay, from this cable goes and comes back into that pin in there. So this plug here is the one from the actually pump. The one at the back is the car, and then on the other two we have our scope connected. Okay, and then here we have the ground for the scope. Is a red wire, but doesn't really matter, which we will be plugging into the ground as well. So if we do something like this now, so all we need to do now is connecting the battery. I have a feeling that when I plug in the battery the first time, the car is going to quickly wake up and then shut down. So I think we're going to be able to see something there. I might be wrong. We might need to turn ignition on. If we do, the key is here ready to go. So let's plug it in, just like so. Okay, and look at that. Okay, the scope is not set up correctly, so but as it, okay, and now we stopped. Okay, so there is definitely communications coming out from that pump. So what we did, we wake up the pump, and the pump is saying, wait, I'm here, what's going on, this and the other. So it's just tried to communicate to the car. We did not have these communications before, and therefore that's why we couldn't communicate with the pump. So I'm really happy that we get this result. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test it on the car. So what I've done now is I've connected the plug back into the car's loom. Okay, so everything should just work, and we should get communications with the pump now. So everything, so the scope is not connected now, but it doesn't really matter. If we can communicate, it's going to be good. So we're going to go inside, and I already preloaded the maxi says with the history, with the car's history that I've scanned. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn ignition on. Okay, and look at that. Do I need to say anything else? Nevertheless, let's going to quickly go onto the car, making sure, let me turn this light off. So let's going to go onto the car and make sure we have communications with that pump, and even more making sure all the other modules are happy with that pump. Look at that. Trouble codes not present, so nothing. Oh, this is absolutely perfect. So we'll clear the codes. We have no codes. Actually, just before we go, I actually, on the other module from the other pump, I ended up actually making a backup of that EEPROM, that 24LC04. Doesn't seem to be any VIN numbers in there. It looks like, unless it's encrypted, it looks like there's only part numbers. Oh, it actually shows the VIN number here. That's interesting, because I cannot see the VIN number on the other module, on the data. Okay, let's just have a quick look. So that's Meriva B steering pump, and that's all I have on this EEPROM. You see, that's it. That's the end of the EEPROM in here. We have the part number, which is, this number is the one that is stamped here on the side. So that's the same number. So we have that number, and then we have some other numbers here. Hold on. 44055 4405523. And nope, that's not part of the VIN number. There's nothing here part of the car's VIN number, unless that was already not the original pump, and these could be the last numbers of the VIN number. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So it could be that this is the last numbers of the VIN number. I don't know, and everything else is the same. Perhaps I'm not 100% sure. Or it could be that that VIN number is not even stored on the EEPROM and is stored on the flash, on the actually processor. Nevertheless, that is not really important as far as the car is happy with all of this. So I'm just turning the ignition back on. So yeah, it's I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so maybe if we need to perhaps if I need to flash this module, if I can do it to change the VIN number in case if I really have to, I might do it, but I'm hope not. So this is all good now, guys. So the body control module is happy. So we just have the calibrations for the windows, which I believe is that code 59 and code 60. So that's not present anymore. So we're gonna leave that for now. Electronic brake control module. No codes here at all. So I'm quite happy, and I strongly believe now that we are not going to have any issues with the car. So I have a feeling, I can't even remember the engine now. Okay, we'll do that later. Anyway, guys, I'm really happy with this. So what we're going to do now is very quickly, we are just going to put the unit back in place. Fill it with oil, give it a good clean before we put it back in. Fill it with oil. It comes empty, so I should have, well, I can reuse the old oil, to be fair with you. I can give it good filtering and it should be good to go, but I think I have, I'm pretty sure I have oil in here. Have a look. I think I have the oil for this and it should work just fine. I should have some left. Yes, I do have some oil, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put this back on and I guess give it a test, make sure it's working fine. Okay guys, everything is back in place, including oil is at the level. I'm sure we're might need to top up this once we have everything running, because most likely there's going to be air in the system, so when we turn left and right, that level is going to have to fill those voids and the oil might drops, but we'll top it up if we have to. Everything is connected, routed correctly, cable tied where some clips were broken, etc, etc, so everything is spot on. Also up here, just to show you, I do hope that this is going to be enough in the future. If anyone needs to work on this or fault find anything, I hope that's going to be quite self-explanatory, I think, so hopefully we'll be okay. Battery is charging. The battery was a little bit low, so I just got it charging. It's charging now for about 5 minutes. I've been actually here. So this is the second time I'm recording this. I didn't have to tell you this, but I will. So when I first went inside the car, turned ignition on, the car didn't start. I couldn't communicate with ABS, engine, ECU, and I think that was it. I think it was those two. After being here scratching my head for a little bit, I actually went back to see everything I was doing, and believe me or not, when I was actually putting everything back on correctly on the ABS plug, I put the ABS plug on top, then I don't know why, I might got distracted, I'm not sure, I forgot to push the lever to completely push the plug down and connect it properly to the ABS module, so that was not connected, and therefore I couldn't communicate with those two modules and I couldn't start the car. So I've been here for about 10 minutes, just tried to go through what I was doing, and I found that. So it's going to be codes on the modules for no communications with the ABS module and engine ECU. We're not going to bother with that. All we got to do now anyway is going to be do a full auto scan and clear any codes. So ignition on. So I was being left with that lock, with the engine ECU on, power steering, well, ABS, there's another little car in there with a spanner light. Was all the dash was completely lit, and was all because of that plug not connected. So we'll do another scan. I know I'm gonna have faults on those modules now because I was doing manual scans or individual scans, and I know I'm gonna have faults in there. You're gonna see that I'm gonna have faults now on the power steering, which I didn't have before. It's purely because of that, so I'm not gonna go through there. I will just show you, for example, just let it to finish. Just couldn't believe I got here to start the thing, key on, I didn't even look at the dash properly, press the clutch, nothing, zero. Then I looked at the dash, and all these lights, the dash was completely lit on both sides. I said, what the heck's going on? Then when I came, I realized I'll just go to the body control module. If you remember, I think it was 3 faults in there. As you're going to see, we're going to have no communications with ABS, engine control module. So low voltage, forget about that. It's going to be engine control module, brake control module. So yeah, there's a lot of... anyway, we're just going to do a... erase of all the codes. Okay, so we'll see what we've been left with. I think we're gonna still have to obviously do the learning of the windows, whatever that is, calibration, but that's not really important. So there we go, look. So the 2 faults, there's one on the engine. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Anyway, you've seen at the beginning was some faults on the engine. I was not asked to look at the engine, so I'm not going to look at the engine. There we go. I don't know, it's intermittent, not learned, not really sure what that is. Not to bother for this particular video. Okay, interrupting the video here very quickly, guys, because I've actually ended up repairing the issue with the engine. I didn't make a video for it, but I probably should have recorded a couple of clips to put here now rather than me talking, but trust me, it is all fixed. And the reason why I've done it was quickly. I'm not going to even charge the guy for it, but it was because if I would ask the guy if he wanted me to have a look at it, I'm pretty sure he would say yes. Or if I would ask him to come and pick up the car tomorrow, the engine light would come back on and he would ask me to have a look anyway. So I just thought while he's here, I'm going to have a quick look. 2 really simple things. So one, the faults that were coming up for the O2 sensor, if you guys remember, those faults would ended up with 4 different faults. So it was for the heater, and then would say O2 performance or O2 sensors. I don't know. I know faults just kept coming up. More I would start and stop the engine, carry on scanning it. Would just throw more faults, up to about 4 faults for the O2 sensor number 2, which is the one after the catalytic converter. So I put the car on the ramps. I actually can show you that, just in case you guys don't believe me. So I put the car on the ramps, and I got under the car. I should have recorded that, to be fair with you. And I got under the car, and for my surprise, well, auction car, as I said at the start of the video, for my surprise, the actually O2 sensor, the plug was in place but was not pushed in. Go figure. So pushed in. By the way, before that, so would throw those faults, then on live data was no load for the heater for that O2 sensor, and the O2 sensor voltage was at high at 1.2 volts or something along those lines, and was just kept in there. It wouldn't fluctuate, wouldn't move. So yeah, so that's what I got under the car to find out how the plug was disconnected. Plug in the O2 sensor plug, that's it, problem solved. For that other fault about the crank something learn, that was a little bit more tricky. I actually ended up having to connect to get the Vauxhall or MDI laptop. Okay, you've seen it on other videos, I'm sure you did with this. The Meriva B is not on GDS yet, but with the Tech 2 Win, connect to the car, and on Tech 2 Win there is an option to actually do that learning. So on the Maxi Series you have the learning for to reset the O2s, to learn the idling and some other stuff, but you don't have nothing for the crank learning or wherever that is, crank position, whatever. So anyway, I performed that learning with the Tech 2 Win, and bang, the fault was gone, never came back on. I have been here, start and stop the car many times. There is literally no faults on the engine now. There is no faults anywhere actually, and the car is running absolutely perfect. I just thought it would be interesting to cut the video here just to let you know that. And now back to the video. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let the battery to charge just for a little bit longer, just to make sure we're going to have enough juice to start this, and then I think we're going to crank it and make sure we have power steering, because we haven't tested the mechanical or hydraulic side of that pump yet. So fingers crossed the pump is good and it's going to work properly. Okay, we should have enough juice. I've just disconnected the charger. In the meantime, I've done the learn of the windows, etc. So those codes are gone now. So let's gonna try to start this thing, see what happens. It's running. See if any lights. Okay, everything's off. And now the moment of the truth. Do I have power steering? Oh, yes I do. Okay, left. Yes I do. Look at that. Yes, we do have. We'll do a few turns left to right, and then we're gonna check the oil level, make sure it's okay. Sweet. Let's gonna quickly check the level. Sure it's okay. Let me see what it is. Oh, you can't really see at the moment because it's all bubbling there because of the pump running, I guess. But if I turn it off, let me see, where is the level now? Can't really see much. What is it? Oh. Let's see. Yeah, it looks okay to me. Huh? Actually went down a tiny bit. Okay, so I'm actually gonna leave it like that. It's gonna add a little bit of oil, but that's it for this video now. So I think what we're gonna do now is wrap up this. I don't need to go for a drive with this to be sure that is okay. So in the end, guys, a bad module. I have a feeling that the pump, the hydraulic side of things were good, and was probably just that module, the chips, well, whatever went through that. So I'm not going to go again. Yes, the VIN number is wrong on that unit, but it is working. I'm not going to bother too much with that for now. It's not throwing any faults or anything like that. So that's it for this video, guys. In the end, we had to replace the electronic power steering or hydraulic power steering, and we have a fix. So what to say, guys, I really hope you have learned something. I really hope there's some good information on this video that can help you. If you do still have any questions, any comments, you guys know exactly how it works, just put them below. And like always, thank you for watching.